wall would not work as a military defence unless it was manned. And the towers were the places where the guards on the wall lived. They stored their supplies. So it really is the towers that give the wall its true character.
Well, certainly those are very beautiful pictures and also significant pictures to remind us the important work that we should do right now about protecting the Great Wall. But exactly over the 2 decades you've been working with the Great Wall, what are some of the biggest challenges in preserving the culture that we have along the Great Wall?
I think obviously the greatness of the Great Wall is its great length. That's what it means in Chinese. It means the endless wall. But in modern times, protecting the wall becomes the world's largest cultural relics protection challenge because it's so incredibly long. Number one. Number two is it's completely different than most other historical sites in China. Palaces, temples, ancestral halls. These are usually cordoned off and protected as distinct parts of any city or town from the places the people live in.
Right.
But the Great Wall is different. It crosses the Ming Wall alone, crosses 9 provincial level administrative areas of North China, and it's really in conflict with modern life along its whole length. What does that mean? It means farmers need more farmland. Goat herders need a shortcut to get back from the hills to their village.
Right.
Road builders find the Great Wall in their way. Railway line builders, those who have to deliver more electric power to a factory or a community that side of the wall.
How to balance them?
The people living close to the wall in Gansu, Ningxia, all the way along, are among the poorest people in China. And they look to the wall as a possible rescue plan or lifeline for their futures.
What do you mean by that, though?
Well, so many farmers growing corn close to the wall in Hebei, or a goat herder close to a section of wall in Ningxia will ask me what I'm doing. And I will say, I'm here taking photographs to learn about the wall. I also try and protect the wall. When they hear the term 保护长城, protect the Great Wall, they immediately engage me about opening that particular section to tourism. So they naturally think
linking
that
the two together.
Tourists, Great Wall equals better living. The question is, does it? The question is, if this happens all the way along the wall, will that really deliver what they hope? And also, will it deliver what China wants for, well, what many people believe its most precious icon?
Everyone seems to have a magnifying glass from outside to look at China. Some are using the literary works. Others are looking at the contemporary art here in this country. And obviously, William, you're looking at China through the Great Wall. It's amazing, your journey here in China, how it has been coincides with the changes of this country over the past few decades. Tell us about those stories.
Well, 22 years ago when I arrived in Beijing, it's hard to believe that the city I saw is the same city I see today. I mean, the amount of cars, the amount of advertising, the Olympic Games we've just had here.
And during the Games, many people visited the Great Wall.
They did, they did, and they were usually thrilled by the experience, but that's always the case. Personally, my journey along the wall, a successful one in 1987, was fraught with political difficulties because at that time, although the reforms had begun, they were only very slow. Most of China was in fact closed to foreigners. So I was arrested 9 times and I was deported once. That was my greatest difficulty.
Adventure.
Yeah, big adventure. The police were always very, very friendly. I got them to write in my diary just as my farmer host did. And, I expected them to really be the end, that to be the end of our relationship. But, it was 2007, the 20th anniversary of this journey came around, and I thought, well, it'd be good to get these diaries out of the mothballs and go back and look up some of my hosts and police friends. And,
if you call friends, yes.
Yeah, well, they were always very friendly,
Yes.
and they
So how are they now? How are you?
Well, I was given the warmest of welcomes. I was given a police escort throughout the whole of Shanxi province, and made an honorary citizen of Yulin, from where I was deported in 1987. So no story really magnifies the changes in China for me more than that. To make this journey from trespasser to honorary citizen is quite a journey.
And also through this journey, 20 years ago and now, you got to know the Chinese people much better, the local people there.
Yeah, I mean, everything I do is with the Chinese people. Every region I've been to with these old photographs, looking for the needle in the ocean, as the Chinese say, I've had help from local people. And,
do you still remember that story? That touched me, actually, about your journey through the Wujiao Hills, that section of the Great Wall. Tell us about it.
I vaguely remember that. It was on the border of Gansu and Ningxia.
The most remote areas here in China.
Very remote, yeah. Semi-desert, some patches of cultivation, very small villages. I arrived in a small village, got
hungry and desperate.
As usual, looking filthy, hardly able to speak. Could just say, Ni hao, wo shi Yingguan, hello, I'm British, and Erla, Kurla, Leila.
And then, need food, water, and some sleep.
And then about 10 o'clock at night, a policeman arrived, and he couldn't speak any English, and he gestured for a long time, and I eventually gave him my passport, and he looked through it. And then I remember him hitting his watch and seemed to be saying, tomorrow at 8 o'clock something would happen. And of course I knew he meant he'd be back tomorrow at 8. And I thought to myself, well, I don't really want to wait around that long. So I walked off out to the village in the night, much to the dismay of my hosts, and back along the wall. It was very starry that night, and the next morning I remember it was a beautiful sunrise. I was starving, and there was this mud path coming across the farm fields, and 3 children, I think, going to school. And I waited.
You saw the hope already.
Yeah.
There is food over there.
Yeah, I thought there was a village. But you know, I've always had an eye for a photograph, and I thought this is going to be a beautiful photograph, showing children close to the wall going to school. I took the photograph.
Under the morning sun also.
Yeah, yeah. The children were amazed when I came out of hiding, and then I followed the track, and indeed there was the smell of that freshly steamed mantou bread, and hot water and black tea. And I remember the family were perhaps Hui Muslims. They had the little skull caps.
Right.
And it's moments like that that are the most memorable. You know, I can remember the war, but I can remember those warm smiles and the hot food and the hot water.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the friendliness, because, you know, I was alone on the Great Wall and I could hardly speak, but that human warmth really kept me going.
William Lindsay, Director of the International Friends of the Great Wall, it's such a great pleasure to have you on our show to listen to your personal stories about China, about the Great Wall. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
China's leaders convey their best wishes for the Lunar New Year to the Chinese people. People in China's Sichuan province received special gifts for the first Lunar New Year since the devastating earthquake last May. US President Barack Obama calls for urgent action to be taken while laying out more pieces of an economic recovery plan. And storms continue to lash past Spain and France as high winds cause a sports center in Barcelona to collapse. Hello and welcome to this edition of Worldwide Watch on CCTV International. I'm Li Xin. We start here in Beijing, where Chinese leaders attended a gathering on Saturday to celebrate the Lunar New Year and extend Spring Festival greetings to the Chinese people. Pan Deng has the story.
President Hu Jintao chaired the Spring Festival gathering. He extended New Year greetings from the central government to people from all walks of life around China and to overseas Chinese. Premier Wen Jiabao gave a speech reviewing the country's achievements and challenges in the past year. He said China has met the challenges from natural disasters and global financial downturn and overcome the difficulties. Wen Jiabao said China successfully held the Summer Games and accomplished the first spacewalk in the country's history. The Premier said the Year of the Ox also marks the 60th anniversary of China's founding, and the year is full of opportunities and challenges. He said the central government should keep economic stability as its priority. It will also boost the domestic demand to promote the country's economic development. Wen Jiabao said all of the country's efforts are for the benefit of the public. He promised to improve people's livelihoods through better systems of social securities and medical care, a sufficient supply of affordable housing and quality education. He also stressed the importance of a full recovery in regions hit by the massive earthquake in May last year. Pan Deng, CCTV.
Governments across China have given out special allowances to poor people as the Spring Festival approaches to give them some relief from the impact of a sluggish economy. The central government has allocated more than 9 billion yuan for 74 million low-income people in both urban and rural areas. Those in cities will get 150 yuan each, and those in rural areas 100 yuan each. The one-off subsidy will help low-income residents enjoy some of the pleasures of the Spring Festival, which starts Monday. For people in Quake-hit Sichuan province, this Spring Festival has special meaning. Ren Ting takes a look.
People in Sichuan are receiving special gifts for the Lunar New Year.
We've spent most of our money to rebuild our houses. I'm deeply moved that the government has given us seed.
Daily necessities like rice and cooking oil are also included in gift packages from the local government. In a village in Beichuan County, one of the worst-hit areas, soldiers stationed in the area are helping people move into their new houses. The villagers are the first group of local residents moving into new houses after Beichuan was almost completely destroyed by the earthquake. For them, the gift of a good, strong home makes this the best Spring Festival ever. Ren Ting, CCTV.
As the Chinese Lunar New Year approaches, people in Guangzhou celebrate its arrival with flower fairs around the city. Local people hope fresh blooms will bring them good luck in the Year of the Ox. Liu Ying reports from the southern city of Guangzhou.
Hundreds of varieties of fresh blooms are displayed at the fair. The annual flower fair adds to a joyous atmosphere in Guangzhou and transforms bustling Beijing Road into a sea of flowers.
Buying beautiful flowers has long been the Spring Festival tradition in Guangzhou. Locals decorate their homes with bunches of lovely flowers and send them to friends and relatives in the hope that fresh blooms will bring them a fresh start and good luck in the new year.
The weakening economy has not dampened people's enthusiasm for buying flowers. Many bring family members, both the elderly and the young.
This year's fair displays a large variety of flowers, and they are especially beautiful.
The decorations at the fair, like the golden ox, look very nice.
Golden tangerines are the best sellers at the fair each year. Tangerine sounds similar to fortune in Cantonese. Bringing a pot of golden tangerines home ahead of the New Year is a traditional custom for many Guangzhou residents, as they signify good luck and richness in the coming year. Mr. Chen and his wife arrived at the fair early in the morning to select a pot of the best-looking golden tangerines.
This type is called four-season tangerines, which means happiness, health, and luck all year round.
Though prices this year are relatively lower than previous years due to favorable and warm weather, florists anticipate better earnings from this year's fair.
Business is good this year. I have prepared several hundred potted tangerines for sale. There should be no problem selling them all.
The flower fair will last for 3 days, according to tradition. The joyous atmosphere is expected to reach its climax on the eve of the Lunar New Year on January the 25th. Liu Ying, CCTV, Guangzhou.
The annual CCTV Spring Festival Gala begins at 8 p.m. Beijing time on Sunday and will be aired across China and around the world. The last rehearsal for the extravaganza went smoothly on Friday night, and the stage is set for another memorable evening of entertainment. Here's a taste of what's in store on New Year's Eve.
The highlight of the last rehearsal was a joint performance by Chinese mainland diva Song Zuying and Taiwan pop icon Jay Chou. They will perform Jay's hit Ben Cao Gang Mu, the Chinese name of an ancient Chinese book of medicine. Their mix of hip-hop and folk singing is one of the gala's most eagerly awaited shows.
It's a great honor to perform with one of the best singers of China. I'm still adjusting myself and will try to be in my best condition. The main thing is to avoid tension. It will be a live song and everyone will be very nervous.
There are also high expectations for performance by Taiwan singers Jonathan Lee, Emil Cho, Lou Taiyu and Chang Chenyue. This year is the first time all the songs will be performed live at the gala. Some of the singers were eliminated in previous rehearsals after failing to meet the new requirement. The gala's general director Lang Kun says singing live is very stressful for performers and is also a challenge for the tech crew.
We used Dolby Surround 5.1 in the studio, which is rather new and advanced for a studio show. And the live singing is a great challenge for the sound system.
Tough elimination rounds in earlier rehearsals means only the best of the best will take to the stage on Sunday evening. Two farmers-turned-singers, Ma Guangfu and Liu Renqi, made it through, and Mao Aming, who has been absent from the Spring Festival Gala stage for years, makes a comeback. The extravaganza will be broadcast live on CCTV Channel 1 and 4, as well as the English, Spanish and French channels, and on www.cctv.com. Yang Ran, CCTV.
Chinese around the world are preparing to ring in the Lunar New Year. Celebrations including fireworks and all sorts of colorful performances have been staged. Wang Guan takes a closer look.
A tradition for thousands of years, Chinese set out fireworks to celebrate the Lunar New Year. In Berlin, Germany, Chinese expats put on an impressive display of fireworks to usher in the Year of Ox. The dragon dance is another essential part of the New Year's festivities. The Chinese believe they are the descendants of the mystical creatures. The dragon show is the symbol of good luck and expresses hope that the coming year will be none other than a prosperous one. We hope it will be a good year for all of us. An ox has a lot of virtues, such as fortitude, robustness, wealth, and frugality. In downtown Sydney, Australia, a celebration featured lion dances and people sharing stories about the Chinese New Year. Celebrations will continue for 3 weeks. The UN chief and heads of state sent their congratulatory messages. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon wrote in Chinese characters that he wishes Chinese people and ethnic Chinese around the world a Happy New Year. President of Iceland, Oliver Grimson, also wished the Chinese a happy festival.
I wish the Chinese people a happy, a prosperous, good and dynamic New Year.
Next Monday begins the Year of Ox, one of the 12 animals in the Chinese zodiac. Celebrations are expected to run until the 15th day of the lunar month, when the Lantern Festival signals the end of the New Year festivities. Wang Guan, CCTV.
This is Worldwide Watch on CCTV International. Coming up, U.S. President Barack Obama seeks to build public support for an $825 billion economic recovery plan. And aid agencies assess the damage caused by Israel's operation in Gaza as they aim to assist tens of thousands of Gazans left homeless.
Au cours de ma carrière, j'ai visité des centaines de châteaux dans le monde entier, mais le château Shangyu AFIB Global est le château de classe mondiale qui me tient le plus à cœur. Ces vins sont mes vins préférés.
Professional recommendation by World Master of Wine, Chateau Changyu Afib, Global Beijing.
Getting baskets by making an assist, helping my teammates shine. That's right, they call me the captain. You want to win it all? Get on the court.
Official marketing partner of the NBA, PIG.
Qingdao Draft Beer. Refresh your life.
我不会忘记我爸跟我讲的。
你知道你画了多少栏吗？10万006个。
只不过是又一个栏而已。
新年第一瓶可口可乐，我一定要跟爸爸分享。你想与谁分享新年第一瓶可口可乐？
CCTV Sports and Entertainment, exclusive advertising agency of CCTV 9.
Welcome back. U.S. President Barack Obama has made his first address since taking office, laying out more pieces of an economic recovery plan. Obama said the plan would add nearly 5,000 kilometers of electrical lines, increase security at 90 ports, double the U.S. renewable energy capacity, and create 3 to 4 million jobs within 3 years. He called for urgent action to be taken to deal with the failing U.S. economy.
Our economy could fall $1 trillion short of its full capacity, which translates into more than $12,000 in lost income for a family of 4. And we could lose a generation of potential, as more young Americans are forced to forego college dreams or the chance to train for the jobs of the future. In short, if we do not act boldly and swiftly, a bad situation could become dramatically worse.
Pakistani President Asif Ali Zardari has protested the U.S. missile strikes, which killed 22 people on Friday on the Pakistan side of the Afghan border. He told U.S. Ambassador N.W. Patterson that the attacks were counterproductive and could affect negatively on the war against terror. Pakistani security officials believe the missiles were fired by drones operated by the U.S. troops based in Afghanistan, and they were the first attacks on the Al-Qaeda stronghold since U.S. President Barack Obama took office. At least 5 foreign militants were said to be among those killed. The strikes were carried out by unmanned aircraft in 2 parts of the frontier region. A drone fired 3 missiles on a village in North Waziristan Hours later, 2 missiles struck several houses in South Waziristan. The US does not acknowledge carrying out such attacks, which are believed to be mostly fired from drones operated by the CIA. A suicide bomber detonated an explosives-laden car near an African Union peacekeepers base in the Somali capital, killing 14 people and wounding another 14. The mayor of Mogadishu says it's unclear who was behind the attack. Saturday's bombing happened just days before a planned deployment of Ugandan and Burundian soldiers to beef up the current peacekeeping force. The mayor says one of the dead is a police officer and the others are civilians. 3 of the victims are women. A witness says an exchange of gunfire and mortars following the bombing killed 1 person and wounded 18. An AU spokesman says no peacekeepers were wounded in the attack. 8 agencies have been assessing the damage done by Israel's bombing of the Gaza Strip. They described difficulties they were having in providing relief to tens of thousands of Gazans made homeless by the attacks. Here's Song Wei once again.
Israel allowed the international media and humanitarian workers unrestricted entry into the Gaza Strip on Friday for the first time since it started its 3-week offensive. Some aid workers held a small news conference in a hospital in Gaza City.
All of us here today called for unhindered and open access to Gaza, for people, for goods, and for commerce.
We are continuing to provide food and basic supplies and also distributing plastic sheeting to assist tens of thousands of displaced people who are now returning to their homes.
Meanwhile, thousands of children who study at UN schools returned to class for the first time since the Israeli offensive began. About 200,000 children study at the UN schools. 3 UN facilities were targeted during the recent Israeli offensive, including a school where nearly 40 Palestinians who had sought refuge from the fighting were killed in Israeli shelling. Song Wei, CCTV.
Palestinians returning to their neighborhoods in Gaza after the Israeli pullout are finding very little is the way it used to be. Zhang Yajing has more details.
Tens of thousands of Gazans who fled the fighting are returning to damaged homes and ruined neighborhoods. Ahmed Al-Atta lives in a city in northern Gaza and spent nearly a week in Israeli jails during the offensive. Coming back to his family, he found his house completely destroyed and his brother and nephew dead.
My brother was killed at the beginning of the incursion. He and my nephew were killed near the house without our knowledge. I learned he was killed after I was released from the Negev prison.
Mohammed Zaid is another resident of the city who returned to his neighborhood to find nothing at his worst. All that is left of his home with its view of the Mediterranean is a pile of concrete. Bullet holes riddled the hall where his son was married. Airstrikes reduced the store where he used to buy tea and soft drinks to rubble.
We were inside this house when they fired at us from the tanks. We ran away to the other house. In the other house, they shelled us. Then we all ran to the schools and remained there. After the schools reopened, we came back to our homes and found this house that we used to live in destroyed.
Like the Zaids, many Gazans sought refuge in schools and hospitals, struggling to find food and shelter for their children amid the death and destruction. Israel launched widespread airstrikes across Gaza on December 27th, followed by a ground invasion a week later. Israeli claims the aim of the campaign was to stop members of Hamas from firing rockets at Israeli towns. Zhang Yajing, CCTV.
Doctors say Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh successfully underwent heart bypass surgery on Saturday, and they added that he would be fit to campaign for upcoming elections. The procedure, which lasted nearly 11 hours, began early on Saturday. According to his medical team, Singh will be able to fully recover and resume his duties in 6 weeks. The doctor said there won't be any restrictions on his campaigning, adding that Singh chose to have the surgery at this time to make sure that he would be fit in time for the elections. The Indian Prime Minister, who has a history of heart problems, complained of chest pains earlier in the week and underwent a series of tests. He had bypass surgery in 1990 and another heart procedure in 2004. You're watching Worldwide Watch on CCTV International, coming up after the break. Heavy storms in northern Spain and southwestern France kill over a dozen people and disrupt life across vast areas. And pandas given to Taiwan debut for a selected group of guests, including political leaders, orphans and children from poor families.
Centuries ago, they were forms of entertainment, ways of passing the time. Today, they reflect the diversity of China's ancient culture. New Frontiers goes back in time to find out about some of the traditional games and pastimes that have been popular in China down through the centuries. Only on CCTV International. Where? When? And how did all of this happen? What's left? To explore a place fully, you need to navigate through its past. Travelog goes back in time. We'll take you on a tour through China's ancient civilization, from city to historic city. Travel with Travelog, History and Culture Series.
Welcome back. Powerful storms continue to lash northern Spain and southwestern France on Saturday for a second day. High winds caused the sports center to collapse near Barcelona, killing 4 children. The stormy weather has left over a dozen people dead in the two countries. Yang Weihan has more details.
The collapse of the sports center in Barcelona, which killed 4 children, also injured 16 others. 3 are in critical condition. There were between 20 and 30 children in the building when the accident occurred. Winds of more than 100 kilometers per hour ripped the metal roof of the building, causing walls to collapse inwards. Tens of thousands of families in Spain were left without power, and the gales also disrupted flights and rail travel. Several other deaths related to the storms have been reported in the country, and winds of up to 172 kilometers per hour have also been battering southwestern France. At least 4 people were killed in the Landes area. Gales also cut electricity supplies to around 1.7 million homes. Roads, railways and airports were closed. Local authorities issued a red alert, urging people to stay at home and avoid any outdoor activity. According to the government, an additional 715 civil security agents would be deployed in the affected area. Yang Weihan, CCTV.
Back here in China, a 31-year-old woman has died of bird flu in the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region in northwestern China. She was the 4th person to die from the disease in the country this year. The woman, surnamed Zhang, lived in the regional capital Urumqi. She had been to a poultry market before she fell ill on January the 10th. Zhang was confirmed to have been infected with the H5N1 strain of bird flu on Saturday. So far, no one who had close contact with her has shown symptoms of infection. The Urumqi city government has set up a task force to prevent and control the virus. It also launched a daily epidemic surveillance and reporting system. The central government has warned that the mass migration of workers and students for the Lunar New Year makes the task of preventing the the spread of the disease a greater challenge. The 2 pandas sent by the Chinese mainland as gifts to Taiwan compatriots made their debut at the Taipei Zoo on Saturday ahead of the Lunar New Year. Yang Weihan takes a closer look.
The pandas are called Tuan Tuan and Yuan Yuan, and their names when combined mean reunion in Chinese. On Saturday, they met a select group of visitors, including Taiwan leader Ma Ying-jeou and Kuomintang honorary chairman Lian Chen, during a ceremony to inaugurate their new enclosure. The city government also invited about 500 orphans and children from low-income families as some of the 2 pandas' first visitors.
We expect the giant pandas to have many children and grandchildren, so that in the future there will be a new group of pandas in Taiwan.
The 2 pandas completed a month-long quarantine period after they arrived from Sichuan province last month, and they are both in good health. The Taiwan public will be able to come and visit them starting from January the 26th, the first day of the Chinese Lunar New Year of the Ox. An estimated average of 22,000 visitors per day are expected to visit the pair. The city government estimates that the pandas will attract about 6 million visitors to the zoo annually. Yang Weihan, CCTV.
And finally, here's a look at the weather forecast with Daryl Snow.
Good morning, and starting with China's weather, we can say goodbye to the cold front today, as most of the country will see clear to partly cloudy skies. Wet weather will just cover eastern Yunnan, western Guangxi, Guizhou, southern Hunan and Hainan, all with light showers. Guizhou will in fact go on to endure freezing rain or sleet. Day highs should rise across most of China as well. Hebei, Shandong, northern Jiangsu, as well as southern Gansu will all feel temperatures reach back above 0. Highs will be between 5 and 10 degrees in southern Shanxi, Henan and northern Anhui, so much more comfortable there. The day after tomorrow, wet weather in the south will shift eastwards, bringing light rain to Jiangxi, western Fujian, northern Guangdong and eastern Guangxi. During the Spring Festival holiday, calm weather with clear skies and rising temperatures will be the main theme throughout most of China. Now turning our attention to North America, where so far this year California has been relatively dry. It began raining there on the 22nd, but that will ease off today in most places, leaving the state once again dry for the next 4 or 5 days. Also today, wet weather will cover central and western parts of the continent. Nebraska there is set for moderate to heavy snowfall. Tomorrow, wet weather in the United States will increase, although it will remain dry both today and tomorrow in eastern parts, particularly in New York and Washington DC. However, they can expect wet weather on the 29th. World City forecasts are coming up next.
And that's it for this edition of Worldwide Watch on CCTV International. I'm Yixing. Thank you for watching. Bye.